welcome you all, thank you all, appreciate all of our candidates coming. And again, this is a forum, it's not a debate, we don't go back and forth, we just give them a chance to tell you what they think about things and basically sell their candidacy to you, because that's what this is about. We also have another big election coming up in March, that's a county election. We've got county commissioners and Board of Education folks that are running. We'll probably have a forum for that in February, about mid-February, maybe down at the Hampstead Annex. A lot of important races on that, and if you live in Surf City, you're still county resident. And what happens in Burgaw affects you greatly over there. So keep that in mind. We'll be talking about that more when that time comes in February. And if you have school-age children or grandchildren, the school board is very important too. And we've got some important races that are coming up there. So you need to get a chance to hear them as well. But welcome all of you tonight. Trudy Soloman could not be here tonight. She sent me an email today and said she had a unbreakable, been on the books for a year, trip she was going to take, anniversary trip. She asked me if I would read this, so I'm going to read this to you. This is from her. It says, unfortunately, I cannot participate in tonight's candidate event. My husband and I made anniversary travel plans well before the campaign events are on the calendar. Although I'm not present, I welcome questions and concerns from all of our community and hope to speak with our residents when I return. Please reach me through my website, trudyforsurfcity.com. So, trudyforsurfcity.com, where you can find out that. We appreciate her sharing that with us. And welcome all the folks that are watching online as well. What we're going to do is every candidate is going to have 3 minutes to begin and introduce themselves and say whatever they want. And we'll go down the line and then we'll ask questions. Each one will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. We'll draw a name out of the hat to see who goes first and then just rotate down through there so everyone will have the same random opportunity to begin first and then we'll close at the end. If we're in the middle of things and you have to think of a question, just come on around and take care of it as well. So, folks, thank you very much, Mr. Fowler, buddy. We're going to let you begin and 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and it's your time, and say whatever you'd like, and move right on down. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. It's good to be here. It's good to see all of you folks. I'm very delighted to be able to take part in this. I'm also very fortunate to be able to live in a most generous community, giving community, and a very, very well-informed community. I think a candidate needs to be honest, qualified, dedicated, transparent, and approachable. And I hope I have been that in the past. Having a town located here on the Atlantic Ocean brings with it a lot of problems and a lot of risk from storms. And it's imperative that we keep our emergency management up to par and working in all phases. It's also important for us to continue to look at renourishing our beach, which is our drawing card. Our beach is our drawing card here for the town and for the area. Realizing that having an engineered beach that we will be engineered or re-engineered every 5 years is very important. We worked very hard for over 20 years trying to get this accomplished, and we're in the final phases of that, and we're looking to have that start place in 24, end of 24. In doing that and working with the Corps of Engineers, it helps hold our taxes down from the grants we get, plus through FEMA and state grants. I have worked with our council members on building the consensus on our beach renourishment moving forward to help that. We have a lot of issues in the town, some of them that's come up here recently that we're trying to address, and we have a lot of different avenues to go down. We're working on a lot of them, but as I said, it's been my pleasure serving all of y'all. I would like to continue to serve you. I ask for your vote on November the 7th. I am your voice on the council. I enjoy listening to people's concerns. I alone cannot make any promises, but I can bring your concerns to the council, and I can try to build a consensus to get those concerns addressed in the council, and that's what I'll do. And I bring a lot of experience to the board, to the table, and to the community. And I look forward to being your voice on the town council. I look forward to seeing you at the polls and hope that you cast your vote for me. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Andy, Tammy, thank you for putting this on. This is a huge help. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marc Caldwell. My family and I moved here from the Marine Corps. We moved here 7 years ago. We fell in love with the town. Be upfront and honest. Our number one goal was to get back to Tampa. We got here and we fell in love with this town. We just couldn't leave. So our heart is here. We planted our family here and we plan on staying here. Just to give you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Alabama. My wife was born in Hawaii but grew up in Florida. Myself, I joined the Marine Corps about 22 years ago. I joined the Navy first. I was a rescue swimmer in the Navy, and then I got out, went to college, joined the Marine Corps. I was an intelligence officer for the last 20 years. I handled millions and millions of dollars of contracts, thousands of people. So leadership is what I bring to the game here. I've met a lot of you guys out in town, and I've articulated that leadership was my number one quality that I'm bringing to the table. I'm a very, very hard worker. So my exit strategy right after I got out of the Marine Corps was to do everything I could to stay here in this town. So we built the burrito shack that's right behind us. I hope you guys like it. And that was my goal. As I got a little bit more embedded in the town and I saw how the town was working, things were going. I'm not going to say they were good or bad. It just invested a lot more of my time and effort in wanting to help the town and do the right thing. You can see how things grow really fast, and keeping a small town feel is what a lot of people are really interested in. And so that's one of my goals, to keep a small town feel. Transparency is what I'm all about. If you ask anybody that works for me, has ever known me, that knows anything about me, they know that I'm upfront and honest. So that's my goal, for the town to be upfront and honest and lead with integrity. We also bring a very fresh perspective. I'm an unknown commodity right here. I know Teresa has been here her whole life, so I know I've got an uphill battle, and I'm prepared. So, but I hope you guys ask me questions, ask me my perspective. I'm looking at it from the people's perspective as opposed to an elected official right now, so I can give you what I think is an honest and objective purview. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl. If you guys have any questions for me, please bring them up to Tammy and Andy, and if you don't have a time, just come see me afterwards, and I'll absolutely answer all your questions. Thank you.
I'm Cheryl Crane Hunter, and I'm going to sing you a song. So we moved here 10 years ago. I'm a lifelong educator. I taught in Stafford County Public Schools art. So there's pretty much nothing that scares me. I've had chairs thrown at me. I have fought in the school board office for, students. I have fought for teacher salaries. I ran Fredericksburg Center for the Creative Arts, where I wrote grants and brought the whole community together. So I live on the island, and we have a serious traffic problem. I own paint with me, so I paint with older adults. Some of them have dementia. Some of them, I paint with everybody. So I'm bringing in the light. And two, own Surf City Shuttle. So I have transportation. So it's hard to drive people around when I can't even get out of the driveway. So I'm like, I look today, 2 big houses across the street, $1 million a piece. All right, they're blocking up everything, and the tax collector comes. So think about Pinner County and all the money they get from taxes for these $1 million. So I think they need to give us money for roads. I think they need to look at traffic. I know they're already giving us money for sewer, but some people that have the big houses, they turn it on, they can't even get water upstairs. So we'd have things to look at. I love this place, and I'm going to fight for this place. I'm a fighter because I'm a breast cancer survivor. And the other thing is communication. I'm a great communicator, and I'm a great talker. That's why I'm trying to keep it down to 1 minute. So I'm trying to talk really fast. So I'm going to be your girl to stand up and fight for you. You tell me what you want. I can't do anything by myself, like Buddy said. It's going to be together, working together. not only with Surf City, Pender County. If we can't get it, we go to state. If we can't go to state, I'm going to Rouser because I already know him because I do fundraisers. So, I mean, it's a work. And, like, look, right now we don't have a Speaker of the House. I thought, I got to get on Capitol Hill. So this is my beginning. I have a minor in political science. So you say, why does an artist want to do it? Well, you think about an artist as a very creative thinker outside the box. So once you do that, you can problem solve pretty much anything. I mean, not that I have all the answers to everything, but I will definitely pray for love and light. Madam?
Good evening, Surf City. Thank you, Andy, for allowing us to be here, and you put on this show for us tonight, and Tammy for helping him. I'm going to tell my age here. I'm 55 years old. This has been my life for 55 years. As a Surf City resident, you must ask yourself, who is best for this job? And I'm going to be very positive, and I'm going to say I am. I am Teresa Batts. I am your friend, I am your neighbor, and I am your mayor. And I am counting on you on November 7th to get out and vote for me. And I'm going to tell you why. So I was born and raised here to the parents of Larry and Linda Batson. They taught me to listen before I speak, to earn before I spend, and to never, ever give up. I have 3 wonderful sons, Casey, Tanner, and Frank, and 2 amazing grandchildren, Noah and Grace. In 2016, my life did change forever. I lost my son, Tanner, and life without him would never be the same. But it was this community, through some of the darkest days of my life, that loved me and took care of me and inspired me to want to serve my community more. I was already serving on the Surf City Planning Board, and in 2017 I was elected as Surf City Councilwoman, and then in 2021 I was elected again for Surf City Councilwoman. I serve on the Shoreline Protection Committee, Resilience Committee, Regional Cape Fear Council of Governments, and the most recent appointment by the governor was the Coastal Resource Commission. But most of all, I enjoy local organizations and groups. I enjoy working with the Topsail Island Longboard Association, the Kiwanis, the Topsail Moose Lodge, the Real Housewives of Topsail Island, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Little Pink Houses, the American Suicide for Prevention, kids fishing tournaments, and many more. As a local elected official, I am innovative, I am steadfast, and I am unbiased. Sometimes the right decisions are not the most popular decisions. However, we have to share the responsibility of sustainable growth through 3 words: health, safety, and welfare, to not only our residents, but to our visitors as well. I want to continue to serve you as mayor. What used to be our little beach town is now a town with a beach, and your town government continues to update and adopt town ordinances which will guide us to the future. We know Surf City is a very special place, and we are fortunate to call it home. I have a tremendous amount of respect for our city and our environment. Your life is impacted by a knowledgeable, connected, and a focused mayor. A mayor who knows our town. Thank you.
My turn. Here in Surf City, I've been a town councilman for over 23 years. I have devoted my life, a lot of it, to this town. At this present time, I've gained a whole lot of knowledge and experience as far as the inner workings of this town and also the infrastructure of this town. I've been involved in it for 23 years. I'm liaison to the Utilities Commission, Utilities Department, which is water and sewer. I'm also liaison to HR. And I'm also liaison to the fire department, which I've spent over 20 years as a volunteer fireman. And at this present time, and for the last approximately 10 years, I've been a ladder captain for the fire department. I am a retired highway patrolman. I've been in law enforcement over 30 years. As far as the police department, I'm very involved in it. I know a whole lot about it, being a retired highway patrolman. And as far as the Parks and Rec, your parks are concerned, I was on the council along with Doug Medlin, our retired mayor, whenever we acquired the property for the 3 parks on the island, Soundside Park, Nelva Albury Park, and Kenny Batts Park. I was also on the council when we acquired the property where the community building is, where Parks and Rec works out of, and we have 2 ball fields and a soccer field, a dock that you can fish off of, a dog park, and I have been dedicated to this town for over 23 years, and I would appreciate your vote and your support come November the 7th. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Heather Allen. My husband Tyler, my daughter Kyla, she's 14. She attends the high school, Topsail High School. We live in Waterside, and I'm a small business owner. I teach concealed carry classes. We absolutely love Surf City, the fact that it's so safe and clean. It's a great place to raise your family. We've got great schools. As soon as we moved here, I started not only attending the meetings Tuesday at 4:30, but I'd also come and speak at public comment. And I noticed, it's a Tuesday at 4:30. A lot of people work till 5, and I noticed people in our neighborhood, they'd have things to say, but they would work till 5. So I would come speak for them here at public comment. So if I get into city council, I'd love to push it to 5, maybe 5:30. I think this is a great time for the first Tuesday of the month. If I'm completely honest, the rumors are true. I did move here from California, and I felt like when we moved here, I needed a shirt that said, "We're the good Californians moving here, I promise." But Surf City, it really reminds me of the town I was born and raised in, things that I just mentioned, clean, safe, great place to raise your family. And because of some certain policies, no matter how well-intentioned, I just saw, unfortunately, the town I was born and raised in, like, pretty much lose all those great attributes. So it's extremely motivating to come here. You know, we moved 3,000 miles. We want to stay here. We want to keep Surf City clean and all the attributes I just mentioned. And the reason I'm up here too is we go to the Gathering Church, and in January, the big theme for the year was faith plus discipline. And I was kind of like, what does that mean? And it was Pastor Nick that Sunday, he was saying it means if you believe in something, you go for it. So I was like, you know what? It's kind of like turned my life around. It makes my life so much easier. If I believe in something, I'm just going to go for it. So I have a lot of great ideas for the town. So that's why I'm here. I'm just going for it.
I'm next. Hi, I'm John. I'm not a public speaker by any means, so forgive me if I stumble a little bit, but I'll get back up and get with it. For those who don't know me, I'm John Koloski, councilman for Surf City. I've lived here for 11 years. Before my 10 years town council, I was chairman of Parks and Rec. Got involved in a lot of the different festivals we have here from day one. I believe this helped me and prepared me for this position, and I feel that every person that tries to come in and get on town council should take some time out and serve on a board of some kind. Do some sort of volunteer work, get yourself involved with the town, because that just helps you. Currently, I was appointed by the mayor to be the liaison for Parks and Rec, Special Events and Tourism Committee, Planning Board, and our Emergency Management Department. I believe there's not a council member nor the mayor that would agree that I'm probably the most engaged council member we have, only because of the time I spend at the meetings, at town hall here, and out in the street, dealing with the different committees that I'm on and the different festivals that we have. What I'll do for you? Okay. I'll work with the mayor and the manager to get all phases of the new park that we have next to the community center to completion. Streets and sidewalks, basically I found out that we have a jigsaw puzzle of sidewalks and streets that need attention. Okay. We have to quit kicking the can down the road, getting all the parties to the table for an equitable solution on this. As you are aware, there's talk about a future multi-use path that we have. I have a clear-cut plan, I feel, started to finish, and possibly for the next 5 years we'll have it finished. So I'll work hard for you as a representative. I'll work hard for you as a person. I put my heart and soul in it. I love this town. I'll go to, when you go to the ballot box, just do me a favor and vote for me. And I'll represent you the best I possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy and Tammy, for doing this. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, which is wonderful. My name's Alicia Hawley. I have lived here for probably about 20 years. I've also worked here for about 20 years. I have a son that's 10 that started Surf City Elementary School when it first opened its doors. And I've been a vital part of the PTA since the beginning there at the school. We've been able to accomplish a lot of things, and that kind of geared me into wanting to be more involved civically in the community. I think communication is a big part of what the town should do for you guys. And that's something that we do as a business. We have a marketing company, so getting word out in a timely manner, but also in a way that's understandable. The town has lots of information. They do put it out regularly, but it's kind of sifting through to figure out what's important to you and figure out what you want to take from it. So that's kind of one of my key goals, is communication as a whole. The council's done a wonderful job for many years. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of the growth, especially with our young families and our new communities. So a big part of what I want to do on council is be a voice for our young families. I think being a council should be diversified. I think you should have people from all different backgrounds, whether they're business owners, retirees, young families, whatever it is. You shouldn't see the exact same 5 people sitting up here. You should see people representing different avenues of the walks of life that we have here in Surf City. And I just want to be a little part of that. The Parks and Rec, I was recently appointed to the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. And again, like I mentioned, families and kids are a huge thing to me. So I'm super excited to see that come to fruition and make sure that some of these little add-ons and tweaks that need some additional outside funding get funded. We've had a lot of ties to the community for a long time, and I've been honored to help with a lot of things like Paddle for Troops and Real Housewives. And giving back to the community is something that I've always loved doing, and this is just another way for me to do that. So I won't ask for your vote. What I will say is I will earn your vote on November 7th, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. I reached into the bag and I pulled out number 6. Heather, you'll be the first one this time around. And the question is, what is the greatest challenge facing Surf City, and what is your solution to that challenge?
I know everyone's going to say infrastructure. I'm actually going to say something a little bit different, and that is like a lack of youth programs. One of my platforms would be starting a junior lifeguard program here in Surf City. I know we don't really have lifeguards, so if we could make it either like junior watermen, if we could talk to Waterman's Warehouse, see if we could grab their term, watermen's. But I think it's something that would be greatly needed in the community. If you think about kids like 9 to 12 years old, it would almost be like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because we would be teaching them how to respect the ocean. If we would be teaching them how to look for riptides. We would have them run, swim, be out in the sun, doing all these great things. It's a need for Surf City, and parents would be super happy that their kids are outside, outdoors. And then when we talk about like the lack of lifeguards, I've talked to firemen a few times, and they said, if we could just have 3 lifeguards temporary, that would be a huge burden off of us. So if the city did a junior lifeguard program and we took funds and we hired 3 temporary lifeguards, I think that would be great. And, people are talking about drownings here and there. So that would be, helping kids who are going to be at the beach without their parents. And then they'll be safe at the beach. So that's what I would say.
Same question? I would have to say our infrastructure is one of our major hurdles that we have to kind of figure out how we're going to catch up the infrastructure to the building. As you know, we've got a lot of people that are coming here, a lot of people that are here, a lot of people that are building, and our infrastructure is not neck and neck with that. Now, I'm not quite sure. I don't have all the answers as far as how do we slow up the building. It's something that you really can't do. I would just say that, we've got to concentrate more effort on the infrastructure to see if we can. I know the mayor just received some money that we got, I believe it was $20 million up in Raleigh, towards that or towards the town. So I'm sure we're going to use a good portion of that for that. Hopefully that'll help us out. But that would be one of the biggest hurdles, and that's one of the biggest things I would probably try to concentrate on with the other members of council to try to see if we can solve that or fix that or however you want to put it. But we definitely need to put some time and effort into that, as well as a lot of the other things that we have. That's all I got.
So I, again, think growth is probably our biggest issue. I think it falls more back on policies in general. I feel like over the last 20 years, we've gotten in a habit of allowing phases of communities to be approved. And then, as we all know, our real estate market ebbs and flows here. So if you get to a point where a phase of a community gets developed and then the market isn't doing great, those second and third phases don't always come to fruition. However, they've already been approved. And this is what ends up happening down the road for us personally, is we now have no way to tell these phases they cannot do what has already been approved. So I would like to see some sort of time limit put on phased divisions, so that once they reach a certain point, they either have to complete it all then, or they have to come back to the planning board and council and re-request with revisions based on where our town sits at that time, whether it becomes the developer's job to implement new road structures or find a way to do different things with sewer. And even though the town can't control the schools, some way, somehow, we have to find a way to make these people accountable for helping get our schools under control, because we are over capacity by 150 students at the elementary school right now, and that's a lot. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you. We have several major issues or challenges facing the town, but the 3 most current ones that as I see it, that's facing, or challenges facing the town, is our traffic, our wastewater capacity, and our stormwater runoff. And the 4th one behind that would be roads. All of these things are affected by each other, which goes back to what Mr. Koloski said about our infrastructure. And our traffic, we need to coordinate with DOT about the issues with congestion and traffic flow. And we're doing that through our police chief. He's coordinating with the DOT on light timing to see what plans we can come up with to help with the traffic and traffic flow. Wastewater capacity, we're exploring various options and are waiting on permits from the state. We have already submitted all the work, got all the work. They have it all done. They just haven't issued the permits yet. They're holding on to them for some reason. But with our capacity, we will increase our capacity within the next 10 to 18 months for wastewater. Stormwater runoff, we're working towards this issue. with the DOT on you catch basins. We've got some grants and some money for that, the catch basins to help catch the water, bring the water off the roads and do that. We're in bad need of paving roads. We've started down on the streets down there. We need to bring it forward. So we need to continue to do that. Our sidewalk and bike paths, we need to move that priority and put that on our priority list and move it up on our priority list. Our beach patrol, which is life-saving, we need to do a better job with that in working through our, we're establishing equipment now at all the beach access and working through our fire department with beach patrol, which have life-saving people on those patrols. Which is a cheaper way to go to help and save down on taxes. But there's several other various things or issues that were coming, but the three most major issues are the ones that I've mentioned. Thank you.
So mine is very similar to what Alicia said. However, I think there are two big issues that kind of run hand in hand. Infrastructure is one piece of it. School systems are another part of it. I know when we moved here specifically because of what the school system, what the ratings were. We saw Surf City Middle School open up, and day one, it was at capacity. I think a lot of times what a lot of other communities can do, when a builder comes in, they levy certain things on said builder, and say, okay, if you want to build here, what you can do is help us with our infrastructure. You can help us with our water. You can help us with our roads. You can help us buy a piece of property for schools. So I think what that's going to do is help our town be the town it needs to be. So I think if we do those things levy those things on the builders that come into town, it's going to help us grow a little bit easier, and it's going to relieve the taxpayer burden from having to get extra taxes put on them. I know my kids all went to Topsail High School, and one of them's still in Topsail High School, but it's at capacity, as much as capacity can be. And I know the more divisions, subdivisions that we build around here, it's only going to increase that moreover. So I think having a hand in what the builders can and can't do is going to help remedy the situation. I think building stronger ties with the town of Holly Ridge. I know that's in another county, but we can do things together with them and Hampstead to kind of help build the infrastructure for both the schools that need to go in, and we can levy those builders to help do that process as well.
Well, my top, of course, is infrastructure because I live on the island. I see it. I rented a place beside Scallywags when my son came in from Kentucky. And so, with seeing and getting around that one quadrant, it's like one is one way and one goes this way. If we had like one lane that flowed through so we could have like traffic that's not all coming into the roundabout. Like if we had something with north-south. I know the island is so small, and I've talked to so many people, and there's like nothing can be done. But, we can talk about it. At least we can talk about the traffic. We could talk about the infrastructure. We're getting a new sewer, but it's going to be 5 to 6 years. So, we're steady building. I want to be able to flush my commode. I want to be able to turn my water on and have clean water and not worry about it poisoning me and being sick down the road. I'm all about the schools, too, because I'm an educator. And we know we're going to get a new middle school because they already had a bond referendum. So we could have another bond referendum, but that would be Pender County to get another high school. So we can join in. It's everybody joining in as a community that will net together, weave together, and bring what we need to Surf City. Another is communication, because I lived through Florence. Number one, for 3 weeks, I didn't know if I had my house there. And it was like I had my sister looking online to see if I was still standing, and then I couldn't come back, and there was mold everywhere. So to have some kind of emergency plan, not only for us that live on the island or Surf City, people that are vacationing, saying, this is code red, but they don't get that on their phone, how are they really going to know? So we need that communication for emergencies, especially now in this forever changing world when we turn on the TV and there's something drastic all the time. So we definitely need some kind of emergency system.
Again, I'm going to revert back to 3 words: health, safety, and welfare. And with those health, safety, and welfare, we look at grants, And in the last 3 years, we have received $32 million in grants for our water and sewer infrastructure. And while he's in the room, I'm going to say thank you, Carson Smith. Preserving quality of life in Surf City. That's what it's all about. It's about sustainable growth. It's about infrastructure and water and sewer, reviewing the town's policies and the ordinances to guide the growth of our town. It's growing. You cannot stop people from moving to North Carolina, to Pender County. Pender County is the second largest county growing in North Carolina. They are moving here. They love it here. So it is about looking at policies, making sure that we follow our comprehensive land use plans. I'm going to also touch on beach nourishment, because executing that beach nourishment project is one of the largest assets to our island. That's where we make, if we don't have a beach, we don't have a lot of money, and we need that beach. We need it not only for our families to enjoy life, but to bring accommodation tax, to bring, the taxes that we need to survive in our town. And then I'm also going to touch on traffic. We have had done feasibility studies over the last couple years on road maintenance, working with DOT to figure out new traffic patterns. They're working on hopefully two new roundabouts that will be coming into town. I know a lot of people don't like roundabouts, but it keeps the traffic moving. It does keep flowing. We're not at a standstill. So, and also working on a multi-use path that will help Eric Vithalani ride his bike around town.
I feel like we have 3 different issues. One of them is infrastructure. It's like it's been said before, we have programs, we have paperwork at the state, and all we have to do is get the permits issued by the state, which will help our infrastructure, especially our sewer plant, immensely. We are talking about using subsurface irrigation and start at the Sarge Martin. That's where your sewer plant is located, in case you didn't know. And that will potentially free up 150,000 GPD, or gallons of sewer per day. That'll help tremendously. When we get this new park built, if we use subsurface irrigation under these ball fields, put it under the one over to community building, over to community center under those ball fields, that is potentially would be somewhere around 500,000 gallons a day. So that will help with our infrastructure. Water is not a problem. We have our own water plant. We have 3 towers, approximately 1 million gallons up in the air. It's clean water. It tastes good. Our second issue is what everybody's brought up, is traffic. Well, we're working with DOT, and me being on the RPO committee as a voting member, we're getting ready to start 2 roundabouts. In 2025, they're supposed to buy the right-of-way, in 27 start it. And let me just finish. It'll start in 27 there at Watts Landing in 210, and also at 210 and 50. Thank you.
Don, you said we have plenty of water. It's up in the air. Part of the problem is water on the ground. That's stormwater management. One of my favorite questions. What do we do about managing that? Town's done a lot lately. Mayor Medlin, do you remember a couple of years ago when I asked the dumb question, why can't you put it back in the ocean? You know, we were talking about stormwater management at one of our forums. I said, you got water on either side, why can't you just put it in the sound or put it in the ocean? And we can't. State won't let you, so there's your problem right there. But Buddy, you're going to be first. I drew number 1 out, so you'll be next. But what do you see ideas on future stormwater management? Because that's a big deal, not only on the island but on the mainland, because it's water everywhere.
And water seems to draw people. It does create a problem for us. Part of it is the way some of our lots are constructed already, and some of the contour of the lots. A lot of it dumps out on the roads, therefore causing our roads to crack and deteriorate faster than what it would be. We're looking at updating our zoning ordinances to probably put in some kind of French drain for these people that come in and where there already are homes existing on low-lying lots, and they decide to build up the lot side of them to be able to handle that stormwater runoff within that French drain system. We're also looking at the possibility of increasing our stormwater maintenance on your property from 1.5 inches in 24 hours to something a little different. But we're trying to increase that to keep the stormwater. We're also have got some grants, and we're working with the state on putting in underground basins to drain the water from the roadways and other areas of low-lying areas we have in town, to bring that water to those basins where it can sit and then slowly dissipate out back into the groundwater. And we're constantly looking at more innovative ways and trying to work with the state on addressing this stormwater problem. It's not only a problem here in Surf City, but it's our problem while it is here. It's a problem throughout the eastern coast. All coastal towns have this problem. But we are trying to address it and do that. It's kind of, you can't go in when somebody comes in and has a lot or buys a lot, and they have their full rights, and I can't and will not, as long as I'm elected, allow one person to infringe on the rights of another person and vice versa. So as long as they're following our zoning orders and laws, and we're trying to do what we can do, I hope we can do, and we can always do a better job, and we're always looking at handling our wastewater. Thank you.
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Your ideas on microphone on. Your ideas on future stormwater management. Some of it's been done, as Mr. Fowler mentioned. You've got some infiltration basins already put in, but it's only going to get worse the more you build. So,
Okay.
What are your ideas about managing stormwater?
Well, Buddy said a lot of stuff was already starting to flow, but I think what we can do, we can mirror a lot of what the other coastal towns that are similar positions we are, and kind of model ourselves after them. I know Hawley Ridge has a representative with DOT, and I know a lot of the stuff, stormwater runoff of DOT, has to pass through those guys. I think having a firm handle on what the transportation department up in Raleigh is looking at, what they're doing, having a firm representative down here that'll stand on the desk and be the squeaky wheel. I think that's going to be a key integral piece for us in order to manage and maintain things that we may or may not have taken into consideration before, since we were and still are a small town. But like everybody has said before, we're growing. I think we're just outgrowing our britches really fast. And so I think what we need to do is look at some of the best practices that some of the other towns that are local or close to local to us, to what Carolina looks like, and kind of mimic some of the things that they've done as well.
I'm going to start out with building, because across from me, they build these two great big houses. And so the first rain came, the little house has been there forever, water was all around. So to me, it's like, are you really putting in drains when you build these $1 million houses? And so all of a sudden, you have all this water. So the other example is, I probably have beside me the only wooded lot left in Surf City that just sold. I've seen the water come up through that lot all the way to the road. So when the builder said, what do you think? Should I build here? I'm like, it's a wetland. The water comes up through it. I said, if you want to build, you're going to have some kind of drainage. And if you don't, then I'm going to go underwater where I live. So that's a big consideration, is how you drain. And then when you go Turtle Cove across the street, you have flat, completely flat ground there. You know, and if you can't dig very far because you've got water underneath. So the drainage problem is a big issue, because you know, we have water like right under the ground, but the new people coming in, if they would, you know, drain. And, you know, they're also doing studies about, talk about water, salt water, bringing salt water chemically and making it to you can drink water. They're doing that in a lot of different places. But certainly we have a big problem with the flooding, especially where I am, because I live on the Sound, so I see the Sound come up. But we have a telephone pole, which is kind of keeps it flat back. But that water is going to keep on coming. And the other thing we need really quickly is vegetation, because all the vegetation's being cut down. We need trees, and I've kept all mine, and I can see when the water comes, it holds it back. So if you have good roots and vegetation, it will help the water and help the flooding. So I recommend everybody plant something. I'll do a grant to where we did that in Fredericksburg.
All right, I'm going to start off by saying kudos to our Emergency Management Director, James Horn, because we received $770,000 in a grant for the South Shore Drive Stormwater Project. There's 2 areas right now that are receiving basins on South Shore Drive. Those areas there after the basins are in will be repaved by DOT on South Shore Drive this fall. I will also say that on the buildup of lots, we are addressing in our comprehensive land use plan that was updated last year. The ordinances right now are being reviewed, which will eliminate the buildup, how much someone can actually build up on their property and disperse on their neighbors without having the proper drains in. I hear it all the time from people on the canal streets, one being Miss Patrice Parker, and I hear her when she talks. I listen and I hear it, and it is going to be addressed in our ordinances when we do the review. Another thing is DOT. I have called DOT, and they have been out working on Highway 50 because, you know, if we get, 6-7 inches of rain overnight, our ditches on DOT, they get flooded very easily, and so we have constantly been in contact with DOT. They are looking at the drainage problem on Highway 50, and it is currently being addressed on a weekly basis. They are watching that the overflow. But we live on an island. We live on a very small island. We are going to see flooding. The full moons, the king moons, we are going to see flooding, and that's just life living on an island. Off the island, there are measures that can be taken to help prevent the flooding off the island. Thank you.
Okay, we know that we have a wastewater or stormwater problem. We've been knowing this for years. We have taken things into account. It's like Teresa said, we have a grant with the Department of Transportation. They're going to start using those, putting those boxes in on South Shore Drive where it always floods during a storm. Hopefully, they do a pretty good job. We got a little problem. We got a problem on North New River, which they're supposed to put in boxes there so we can catch the water there and disperse it throughout the different area there. We live, or you folks live on an island. I happen to live in Dogwood Lakes. We have ditches. We have no water problem because our ditches carry the water. Well, it's kind of hard to put ditches on a lot of these roads, and it's like it's been brought up. You can't disperse the water into the waterway. That's a no-no. So we got to use more of these boxes, and some of you that's lived here for a good time can say they worked, because if you remember that mud hole we had over there at the park, when you entered into the park, we put boxes in there. Now we don't have a mud hole. You've got paved and you've got rock. So what we need to do is to continue doing more with our ordinances and not letting people infringe on other folks. Thank you.
I would say I would want to surround myself with experts on this topic as a council person. I would talk to multiple different businesses, either private or government contracted, see cost-benefit analysis, and see who could do the job most expeditiously. And if it came down to two big decisions, I would definitely want to get the public's input, because it's our town. So especially the people living on the island. I was on a coastal community action team about 2 years ago, and we did something just like that where we had the town come and give them some ideas. So I would definitely want to get the town's input as well.
Okay. Well, what Mr. Fowler brought to our attention is just pretty much right on the money. Exactly what we've been doing, what we're preparing for, and what we have here. Okay? But we do, as Teresa said, we do live on an island. It's a giant sandbar. Drainage underneath it now doesn't even exist because there's water under us. I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate or bring up James Horn's name, because I worked as liaison in his department, and he did an excellent job getting us that money. And I guess we could probably look into getting more grants in different phases or areas to get more money to try to do stuff, rather than try to raise the taxes to pay for it, because we know everybody in this room does not want that. So that's about all I got right now. But I mean, it's just a matter of working hard and pushing forward. That's what I intend on adding to this. Thank you.
So just to explain one thing, what happens when you live on the water, like we do, is when we have king tides and lunar tides, your tide fluctuates a lot more than it does on a regular day-to-day tide basis. And what these builders are doing is they're coming in and they're putting as much dirt and sand as they can to get that house out of the flood zone. And that then impacts the adjacent communities. So that's some of the discussion that they said in regards to changing policies, is if you're gonna come in and you're gonna add 4 feet of sand so you can build a house on it and get it out of that flood zone kind of area, then you need to also add some sort of drainage so that by putting your property up that high, you're not impacting your neighbors. I have talked to Kyle, who's our town manager, at length a little bit about this. There's actually 2 different routes that they're using to remediate this, that they've got grant funding for both of them. The basins are one, and it would be my goal to see both of those in action first and kind of determine which one works better, or if there are certain areas where maybe some of them serve a better purpose than others, and not just go all into throwing a bunch of these into our community and tearing up our streets even more if they're not actually going to serve a viable purpose in the end. So I think that the town is actually doing a good job in getting 2 different remediations for this right now, and once we actually see those in action, then I would say it would be a good time to make a plan on how to continue.
All right, thank you. Alicia, I drew out number 8, so I'll come back to you on this one. This question's good. It's sort of, I'm going to maybe combine 2 of them into one. Do you see a future where visitors to our island will come via shuttle or walkways, bikes, golf carts to the island, shops and beaches? And the other question's about sidewalks, which really is the same thing, sidewalks on the mainland near the new park. What are your ideas about pedestrian travel, anything but cars, as far as reaching the island and doing that?
So we have e-bikes, and we love our e-bikes, and we take our e-bikes everywhere. Like I said, we live on the island. The side streets and the sidewalks and the roads in general are not very pedestrian or bike friendly, especially the southern part of South Shore Drive almost always has some sort of debris, whether it's riprap or sand or whatever, that's washed in and out from storms. I would love to see parts of the road widened as a whole with a at least 10-foot dedicated path. The Greenway Trail that they've talked about, that I believe the actual plan is in place, it's just at a stage of getting funding, would be a wonderful thing. We've got a lot of residents that live even further out, closer to Harris Teeter and the arbors and the terraces out there, and then making your way back in through Saltwater Landing. We've got a lot of kids that one day would like to be able to get to the parks once we get those finished, and there's no way for them to get there. So I would love to see the Greenway Trail really come to fruition and get that 10-foot wide walkway that connects not just us internally, but us to other parts of the county and other counties as well.
Thanks, sir. Our sidewalks and bike paths and walking trails and greenway trails, from my standpoint, it's a safety issue. And as being a safety issue, we need to put this on our priority list, move it up on our priority list to ensure that we start systemize and update our master plan and following our master plan on our sidewalks to provide sidewalks and other travel alternatives to our citizens and to our walkers, because it does become a safety issue with the traffic we have going, with the personnel we have going over to the beach, those that's going to the business and walking back and forth, even those that live close enough, fortunate enough to go to some of the business close by and living towards the middle of what we call town. It does create a problem. But it's something that we do need to put on our priority list. As you know, we make a list, we've got a master plan, and we need to update our master plan. And off of that master plan, we take certain things and we put on a priority list. Those are the things we concentrate on trying to fund and get that year. We're very fortunate to be able to get some grants and some funding, and we're always lobbying our representatives in Raleigh. Mr. Smith and the rest of them have been very helpful to the town of Surf City. We're most appreciative, and we will continue to seek grants and other alternative funding for some of these projects as well as the town funds, because we don't want to put any burden, great burden on our tax base. Thank you.
We already have a Surf City shuttle here. I think it works pretty efficiently, with the exception of the summer season. I think anybody that lives on Highway 50 knows good and well it's very difficult when the tourists get here to travel towards the beach. I used to live in Turtle Creek for 3 years, and it is a completely different world than living over here in Waterside. Waterside, I can hop on my e-bike, just like Alicia was talking about, and I have no problem hopping down the path and driving straight to the beach. When I lived in Turtle Creek, that was not an option at all. Making a left out of my neighborhood back then to come to the beach at any time on the weekend or most times during the summer was extremely difficult, to say it nicely. I know the Greenway project's been around for a long time. That would change the face of what the local community would be able to do and support our local businesses around here, because I know that's a big piece of what we try and strive to do. Where that project is, how long it's going to take to get funded, I know it's been around for 4 years now, and we're still waiting. I think expanding those roadways to kind of help trafficability for the shuttles to get back and forth, I think that's a part of the problem, a part of the solution. I think another thing we need to look at is the trafficability on the island. I know that the roundabouts are great for what they are, but it has blocked some avenues to exit from south side of the island to the northern side of the island. So if you have to come from the south, it's very difficult to get to the north without having to go through that roundabout, which sometimes can be backed up to the curve, right? And so I think if we figured out alternative solutions, for instance, right there in front of the IGA, the road was terminated for, I'm sure there was a great reason, but if you sent the traffic that's coming from the south to that part right in front of IGA, it would immensely help the trafficability on the island in itself.
So me and my husband, Barry Hunter, own Surf City Shuttle. And when paid parking first came out, Doug came to my driveway and was like, what can you do to help? So we had 2 shuttles at the time. And of course, we bought it 1 week before COVID. So it was a little crazy. But the thing is you can shuttle people at different times of the day. So like if you would get a shuttle, and that was one thing that you have to have. So with liability, you have to be able to pick people up safely at a spot that you own that's off the island and then get them on the island and back. So working out every little plan, we would almost need a grant from the state to help us with have more shuttles and have like 9 o'clock pickup and then 4 o'clock, or probably 3 right before the traffic gets like really crazy. But you'd have to have like different times. But that would help a lot, because every car I see, sometimes they have one person in it, sometimes they have 2 people in it. I mean, they don't even worry about like filling the cars. They're just like, we're going to go now. And one thing about the shuttles too was the gas. The gas, like if you're sitting, it would be like astronomical amount of money now that the gas is really high. So it's so many things about thinking about shuttling, but it is a great idea for sure. And one of my good friends, she says, we need to light up the pedestrian crossings. I've almost seen 3 or 4 people absolutely get killed in front of my eyes. I mean, and we could get something solar from the DOT, which would save so, it's just amazing. And have it right there where that roundabout is a scary place anyway, because everybody's coming to the island, I'm coming to the beach, I'm coming to the beach, and then all of a sudden a biker comes out or somebody walks. So make it like friendly for bikers, access walkers, and we'll.
Again, safety is always a concern, especially when we talk about pedestrians walking. The multi-use path is a must. That is at the top of our list, and we are working on it and talking about it on a daily basis. I want to say, if I want to keep on giving kudos, I want to give kudos to David Price, Utility Director, because we will have our first multi-use path on North Shore Drive, and hopefully starting in the spring of 2024, this grant will come into place in replacing a water line from the Rolling Beach access north down to Dolphin Street in the spring of 24, and when that is done, we will have a multi-use path on that little section of the roadway. There are 6 weeks out of the year that we do deal with traffic. 55 years I've dealt with it. I know when to leave my house. I know when not to leave my house. It does become a burden at some times, but I thank God every day that we do have this traffic, that we do have these visitors here that support all our businesses and that come to our beach, and they're able to bring their families and enjoy a great beach day. So thank you.
I agree. We need more multi-use paths for pedestrians and bikes. People understand the DOT is putting in 2 roundabouts on 210. You people that live at Turtle Creek, they're going to upgrade not only that roundabout at Watts Landing in 210 and also at 50 and 210. They're going to have to upgrade the road between those 2 points. At that point, we need to start talking to DOT. Let's go ahead and put in sidewalks. When we redo this road, put the sidewalks in. It'll help a lot of people. It won't be a safety issue then once we put the sidewalks in. Bike paths, as far as that little space you have from the white line over to where the pavement is dangerous, because if you lose your balance, the first thing you're going to do is fall out in the middle of in front of a car and get run over. Well, we don't want that to happen. We're safety conscious, but where this happens and you've got a good sidewalk going down 50, excellent going across the bridge. I'm amazed at the amount of people that walk that bridge and bicycle across that bridge. So we just need to improve looking at DOT to help us with grants and everything. And when they upgrade that infrastructure on 210 between the 2 roundabouts, that let's include sidewalks at the same time. Thank you.
I think golf carts are a great idea, a great alternative to cars. However, on the 50, you pretty much can't go because it's 35. To take a golf cart, it's only 35 and under. But there's a portion of the 50, it's 45. So we have a lot of neighbors that are getting pulled over. And I know it's a state highway. So as a city council person, I would go to the state and be like, hey, how can we turn this little chunk on the 50 and make it 35? That way people from the island, they can go all the way to Salty Turtle and not worry about getting pulled over, getting a ticket. And then as far as sidewalks go, I think it's just frustrating that it's like, oh, we have this plan, but it's like 2 years it's 2 years down the road. And I sat down with someone. He said, do you know how many people who that own businesses would probably donate concrete, and in return, Surf City could highlight their business. Thank you so much for donating this concrete, and then taxpayers wouldn't be paying for that. And if we could get something started sooner, like on the 210, where you have so many sidewalks just leading to nowhere, if we could just connect those, I think it would be, I think especially middle school parents who are worried about sending their kids on their bikes all the way to the beach, like I think they would sleep better at night knowing their kid had a little bit more sidewalk to take their bikes.
The multi-use path. Okay. We've seen 2 or 3 drawings about that. They were up here for the public to view. I don't know if we have exact design how we're going to do it, so we're still looking at that. But that path is designed to link a lot of these neighborhoods with this island and vice versa. So eventually, when this path goes through, you'll be able to get from here to Harris Teeter on a bicycle. You'll be able to get from your homes to here on a bicycle. What Teresa was saying about how we've been working on it, we have been working on it. And we will continue to work on it until it comes to end. David Price got us some money for that. That was great. I think this is all kinds of things that we have to do to get grant-based money for this. And it'll come. We've got the design. We've got the fortitude to do it. We just are going to push it forward. We're going to get it done. Some months from now, we'll probably get together with the committee and form a permanent committee to shoot this down the road. Thank you.
Those of you in the audience, do you know what the Greenway Project is? Do not? Who doesn't know? You don't know what the Greenway Project is? I just want to be sure, because I don't. And I just wanted to mention that in case.
If I may say something.
Give me a 1 minute on what the Greenway Project is.
Okay. Greenway Project is, from what I understand, is something that is happening from Maine to Florida. Correct me if I'm wrong. It starts off in Maine, and every state, every town, every city can enroll in it to link a constant path through. And it's all about being able to get in the environment, to be able to travel from one place to another, and basically not have to use an automobile. You walk, you run, you bike, you e-bike, however you want to do it. But that's basically my understanding for this, and we are part of that project.
So that's the East Coast Greenway Project. Is that, the town doesn't have a separate Greenway Project? There's only one, is that correct, Don?
Yes.
That's right, so
Yes.
we're talking about
Correct.
the,
We're talking about
the East Coast
a
Greenway.
federal project.
Right.
That goes from Maine to Florida.
Gotcha.
It'll come, we have to participate. We don't have to, but we
Want to.
We want to participate in it.
Sure.
North Carolina is participating in it. And it goes from, we have one that goes from the mountains to the seashore also. That's for pathways for bikes and pedestrians and everything. So that's what it is.
Sure, okay, thank you. Just like to learn things. Okay, we've, I drew number 5, so Don, you're gonna get to start with this one. We touched on this briefly, but we talked a little bit about growth, but let's look at it seriously and comprehensively. The question was, do you see building and growth slowing down any? And I think we know the answer to that. So the question is, what is your strategy for managing the growth in Surf City? What are your ideas for doing that?
Okay, one of the things we do is, yes, it's going to be hard to slow growth down, but we can do that realistically, through our comprehensive land use plan, our ordinances, we've got them in place at this time. We just need to realize that growth has slowed down now a little bit because of the infrastructure, and we don't have the sewer capacity that we need. We're working on programs for that, and that's going to help with the infrastructure as far as the sewer's concerned. But with our ordinances and different things like that, we can control growth. I mean, it's there for us to use, and we've been doing a pretty good job at it. But along with growth, we need to look at schools. We got to have schools along with our growth, because all these people that come down here, they got kids that need to go to school, so we need to look at that. I think the biggest thing we need to do is rely on our ordinances, and I think you'll control growth to a certain extent. You can't stop it altogether. Thank you.
So I've been coming to the meetings for a long time, and I feel like there was a while where every other meeting there was a man in a suit, and he's like, I'd like to build 800 new homes here, or another Evolve apartment complex here. And I'm just in my head like, where are all these kids going to go to school? And even in Waterside, they're building more houses, they're building townhomes. People are still moving into the new apartment complexes behind Sundial. And I'm just thinking like, man, where are all these kids going to go to school? And not to Monday morning quarterback or anything, but I do kind of wish that had we known we were going to grow so much if we had built a bigger elementary and middle school. And I think about the high school and like how there's trailers in the elementary school and middle school. And I know that we did pass a bond, and a week ago, I actually had a meeting here with the accountant and Mr. Brewer, and then I got home and I opened my property taxes, and I noticed they doubled. So both for our city and our county taxes, they have now doubled. And I understand that we did vote for the bond, but we didn't finish paying the previous bond. So I do wish someone was here, like communicating, like, if you vote for this, your taxes are absolutely going to go up. As far as ordinance go, maybe if we rerouted some of the residential and did, businesses, then we could have business growth, but people not having nightmares about where are all these kids going to go to school if we built more and more large home developments as well as large apartment complexes.
Okay. Well, as I said before, it's very, very difficult to slow down growth, to have growth catch up to our infrastructure. But our ordinances can help in that. If I understand right now we're reviewing some of the old ordinances and changing them and upgrading them. But if we do something to our ordinances, and I mean, basically we can't really do anything to the builders that have started building now, they're here. But for the future, we can change some ordinances, impact some things that might affect these builders. I don't know if you can basically say to them, like somebody said, you want to come in and build these developments, we need schools. Can we communicate that in such a way that it doesn't sound like we're holding a gun to their head to make him give us money for schools or else they can't build? I don't believe we could ever do that. I don't think that's not even possible. That's just unheard of. But there's got to be some sort of way in ordinances to not be able to permit 25 homes being built on X number of acres of property. Maybe by changing the ordinances so they can build one house on every 2 pieces of property, maybe that's an answer. I don't know. We just have to put it towards thought and put it towards some people to talk about it and try to figure it out. Like I said, I don't have a wand to wave, If I did, believe me, I'd use it. Anyway.
So like I said earlier, I don't like the idea of phased community developments being pre-approved without some sort of timeline tied to it. I think that large developments should be required to do a traffic impact study and not just at your 9 o'clock go to work and 5 o'clock come home hours, but specifically for us on the weekends during check-in and check-out, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. It's my understanding that DOT will not get overly involved in that kind of project because the development itself is not necessarily approved, so they would be putting money into something that might not come to fruition. So I think we should then put it on the developers to hire a private company to actually do these studies and show us numbers. And if there is an impact there, then it needs to be on them to find a resolution and explain to us how they're going to get that done. Schools are not a town-funded thing. We know that. I know that. I've gone to school board meetings. I've gone to county commissioner meetings. I stood up and talked at the county commissioner meeting so that we could get our modular units, learning cottages, at the Surf City Elementary School. And I also talked about the bond a lot. This growth with our schools is something we're way behind and we're never going to catch up to. And the problems there on a county level, it's redistricting, it's all kinds of stuff. Our kids at our schools over here are coming from all the way over near Country Club Road. So that's not just a Surf City problem, that's a bigger problem. And I fully intend to continue to go to school board meetings and county commissioner meetings and keep letting them know what I feel about that. But as far as growth and what we can do, I think traffic impact studies is a good way to start and also put some sort of timeline on multi-phased community development.
A lot of it's already been said, but it has to do with our infrastructure. We must be mindful of our growth as it impacts our infrastructure and our community. The sewer capacity, the zoning and ordinances, the land use plan, all those things can be utilized. We're currently utilizing some of those to hold down our growth, or not hold down, but slow down our growth. Most things run through our planning board. They do a great job for us as far as filtering these things, looking and asking important questions, and trying to help maintain the growth and sustain the growth that we need. That is what we're looking for and what we want. They do a marvelous job in doing that. I've heard a lot of things mentioned up here tonight about schools, and Ms. Hawley just mentioned the fact, which is true. Legally, we have no authority to do with schools. We can't levy anything. We can't do anything. We can't require any developer to do anything. That is a county and state issue. That's something you take up with your county commissioners and your state representative. But primarily, the state representative is going to tell you that's a county issue. Go to your county commissioners because they control the purse strings to your schools. And as she mentioned, we are behind in schools. I'm an old educator, been there a long time, retired as educator. We're behind. We're probably 6 or 7 schools behind in Pender County today. And the bond that we just issued, I think that school's going to be built up around Scotts Hill, somewhere in that neighborhood, I think. But anyway, the things that we have to do as an elected official, if we have something brought to me as a council member that is fair and it's legal, I will have no problem approving that as long as it's fair, legal, and for the best of our community and what our community is looking for. Thank you.
I said it before in a previous comment, and I still stand by it. I think we need to levy a lot of the stuff on the developers because it's going to limit or decrease the tax burden on us as Surf City residents. I think it's crazy to think that we can stop the growth from coming. It's coming whether we like it or not. I think our job is to make sure we can maintain it and sustain it. I think that coupled with, I don't think it's just housing developments. I think it's also the businesses that are coming in town. Because I know I went to the economic forum, the Pennzoil Economic Forum last year, and they said 98% of the folks that live here in Holly Ridge go somewhere else to go to work, and they don't come here. So I think establishing an economic development plan for our community, so if we have types of businesses that we're looking for, I'm not talking about industry here, I'm not talking about crazy booming metropolis of things like a Myrtle Beach would be. I'm talking about things that help sustain us as a community. So if we have the appropriate businesses, instead of making duplicative type businesses around the area, I think it's going to help us a lot more. I know that on the weekends, on a number of occasions, I think all of us can do the same thing. I own a restaurant. I'm not going to eat that restaurant every single night of the week, kind of. You just can't do it. So my wife and I flip a coin. Are we going to go to Wilmington? Are we going to go to Porter's Neck? Are we going to go to Jacksonville to have food? I think a lot of these things are going to play into the decisions we're making right now. And I think both the growth of the communities in the area and how that impacts the schools, and the growth of the businesses that we would like to have come into town to kind of help support us, so that we don't have to take our business elsewhere, and we can contribute to the local population and help grow our town the way that we want to grow our town, as opposed to helping somebody else's town and pay taxes for them in Wilmington or Jacksonville, would be a lot more beneficial to us.
When I moved to the island, as I crossed the swing bridge, I was like, I'm back in 1950. And that's why I moved here. It's a beautiful spirit. So great ideas about impact studies that Alicia said, economic development, and of course, infrastructure. How can we stop the growth? We won't. Until they build on every lot on the island or every lot, Surf City, that's when the growth will stop. So then we have to look at, how are we going to bring that spirit back to the island? Community. How are we going to come together as a community and stand strong in North Carolina? Now, in Virginia, when they built developments and houses, they did have where the builders that were building big communities, they had to pay a certain amount per, for the schools. Because I was a school teacher, so, we went to all kinds of meetings, and so when the developers came in, they were like, well, this is what you need to give to schools. But that's Virginia, and I know I'm in North Carolina, so it's a little bit different. But it certainly could be a communication and help with the schools. We need to educate the kids. I know we're talking about a lot of more tax, because when we have more schools, we have more tax. But we want educated kids that grow up to be educated adults, to be great contributors to our community.
Okay, as far as, it's not just growth in Surf City, it's growth in our entire region. And it is not something that you can stop. It is something, again, that sustainable growth through our planning department, our comprehensive land use plan. We look at that plan. You cannot stop someone from building on their property. You cannot say, we have a pet store, we don't need another pet store. You can't say, we have a pharmacy, we don't need another pharmacy. We will get sued if that happens. If you have a piece of land and you can develop it, if you've owned it and paid taxes on it for 50 years, you have the right to develop your property if it follows the comprehensive land use plan. But we can sustain growth by looking back at that comprehensive land use plan and making, changes to the guidelines of ordinances. I have personally seen a slowdown in real estate. I've seen the slowdown due to our sewer capacity, and also because of interest rates in our area. There is a slowdown, and I thank God that it's giving us a little chance to catch up here in Surf City. And I just want to say, Heather, if your taxes doubled this year, you need to go talk to the tax office.
We're going to close here and give you a chance to do that. You mentioned a lot about schools. School board meeting tonight. Over there right now. School board, and I'm going to say this, are bust, okay? They get their minds off on things they shouldn't be getting their minds on. Growth and schools, for you, are apples and oranges, but they're in the same bowl because one affects the other. And we've got a divide in this county. Folks in the west don't want to build anything in the east. Folks in the east don't want to build anything in the west. So we have a problem. And the county commissioners and the school boards have the schools. You can't do a thing about it. So that means you got to be involved in the school board and you got to be involved with the county commissioners. Because otherwise, they're going to do what they want. And you stand up, and I've been going to meetings for years, and standing up in a meeting and fussing goes a long way. Gets their attention. Otherwise, let's go to Burrito Shack and get a burrito. You know? So do that. And Carson, you know I'm telling the truth, don't you? You stand up and you express your opinion, you keep doing it, and you get their attention that way. Because you're right, we're moving into schools that are absolutely, you know, I don't know what they're going to do at Topsail High. You can't put any more trailers out there. It's a wetland. Can't do it. So, and by the way, the new school is going to be built 210 at 17. Turn on 17, go down 210, just a little ways, right there in the curve where the blueberry farm was. That's where the new school is going to be. Right, big. No, it's going to be a K-12, something like that. But it's going to be right. That's where it's going to be, right there. When they move into it, guaranteed it'll be full. And there'll be a lot of redistricting about that. Don't want to talk about schools anymore. But I know that's a growth thing. They go just like that. And you know, most of us don't have children in school anymore. I can look around here. You don't have kids in school, but you have grandchildren that are in school, and that makes a big difference. So, and we have to pay for it. So you want to make sure your money goes to the right places and do that. Buddy, I'm going to let you begin, close, 2 minutes, wrap everything up. I did have a question that said, why should we vote for you? So that'd be a good thing for all of you to tell. Why anyone should vote for you. In your closing statement, 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, in my closing statement, I'd just like to say that it's been a pleasure being able to address you all this afternoon. And Carson, I want to thank you for coming to this. It shows that your heart is now always with the people, and that's where it should be, and I thank you for being here. With that being said, why I'm a good candidate, I have experience, but I have an engaging personality. I like to listen. I listen well to people's concerns. I have experience in municipal governing. I can hit the ground running, and will hit the ground running, representing you and being your voice on the town council here and bringing your concerns to this council. I love Surf City dearly. My wife did a painting before. Said I wasn't born here, but I couldn't wait to get here. And that's the way I feel and the way we've been since then. But it is a great, lovely community with generous people, got the heart of a lion, and got the good intuition, and they are very informed, and they want to be part of and want to be included. And that's what I want to do. I want to include you and be your voice on the town council, and I encourage you and ask you to vote on November the 7th, because we've got some good candidates up here, but vote on November the 7th. And if you can spare it, I'd like one of those votes to be me. Thank you.
I served our country for 24 and a half years. I've got a lifetime of service behind me. I can't think of anything other than serving my community that I love, that I've grown to love. We moved here for a reason, and I don't want to see it be something that it shouldn't be. I know that there are things that are different here than are done in other towns, and that's fine. It's very nuanced. If you vote for me, if you have ideas for me, I can tell you right now, my goal is to establish term limits. I want to improve the infrastructure. I want to make sure that we have an economic development plan to make sure that new businesses come here that want to. Obviously, all the businesses do want to be here, but something that's not going to force us or make us want to leave our town to go somewhere else to spend our money, because we want to spend our money right here. I want to work to find solutions for our overcrowded schools. Even the school that Andy just talked about that's going to go over there in, next to the Blueberry Field is not going to finish scratching the itch for what our kids or our grandchildren need. And I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that I can get what needs to be done, because like he said, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I know that it's a county issue. But if I pawn it off on the county and I'm not an advocate or a voice for the folks that are sitting in this room, then I think I'm doing a terrible injustice to you guys or y'all. And I would like nothing more than to keep our small town small, because when I got here, the Publix was just being built, and I remember what that felt like, and I remember this small town has accepted me with loving and open arms, and this is what makes me feel like home. And I just want to make sure that I keep home for you guys too.
Why should you vote for me? I'm a great communicator. And if I feel like I need to go to Pender County to ask them a question, I will go. If I feel like I need to go to the state, I will go to the state. If I need to go to Washington, I used to live close to there, and I know a lot of people that are up there. So yes, we need to make changes. But, you know, I live on the island, and I love the island, and I will fight for Surf City. I'm telling you, I like a good fight. So infrastructure is, of course, my top thing. Communication, especially when we have emergencies, because I feel like they're coming. I want everyone to have and know the plan. If I have to write it out and put it out for people that are visiting and living here, so, you know, say China takes over, and we can just block ourselves all off. I mean, we have to, like, have plans, and I know that we probably have them, but I don't know as a citizen, and I'd like to share that. And so we could all be prepared, because we don't know what tomorrow is. And so that's the communication part of it. And the drainage is a big deal for me. And I feel like we need more vegetation, and Audubon is a big thing for me. Birds, you know, you can see the quality of your island by how many birds you have. And if you come to my place, there are birds everywhere. Currently, we have a lot beside me, but I feed them, and they come. So I'm like, we have to think also, you know, about the nature. We're living here, but we have to share this place with the nature, too, which has not even been discussed because, you know, they were here before we were here. And the schools, yes, they'll be taken care of down the road because, you know, more people, more taxes. We got so many $1-million houses that are coming in, and they're paying big taxes. So not, you know, we're all sharing that for a good reason. So I would appreciate your vote November 7th for Cheryl Crane Hunter.
Okay, so again, I want to thank everyone for coming, and I'm going to tell you that I have the knowledge, and I am connected, and I am a focused mayor, a mayor who has those connections with Carson Smith, our House Representatives, that has those connections with David Rouser, who has those connections with Senator Brent Jackson, who has been to Raleigh, who has been there fighting for Surf City. We recently received $20 million a couple weeks ago in state funding that will go towards our water and sewer utilities. Carson Smith, sitting in the back, we asked him for $350,000. He gave us $200,000, which we greatly appreciated, and so does our police chief sitting over there. So having that ability to have those connections makes all the difference in the world. It takes a little bit of time and effort to just keep on, because I'm sure he gets tired of seeing my face, you know, and hearing the same thing over and over again. But one thing I will say, I don't give up. Doug Mellon didn't give up. Xander Guy didn't give up. Other people on this board didn't give up on our beach nourishment project. This beach nourishment project's been in the works for over 20-some years. It finally has come into fruition. We're having over $200 million in federal funding. Carson Smith's getting a state funding. Surf City has invested wisely. Your money, 10 cents of your tax, has been put into a beach nourishment fund. When this project starts, your funding is there for our project. We have prepared. The past has prepared, and we are prepared to move forward with this beach nourishment project. It is a 50-year project. It's not just a one-time little fix. It is something that I will see, you will see, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they will see this project completed because of vision. Thank you.
I have had 23 years of experience as a councilman on the inner workings of the town and also the infrastructure of the town. That includes working, I've been a member of the fire department for over 20 years and dedicated a big part of my life to the town and the fire department. And we continue to look after the infrastructure. I've never said we can accomplish miracles, but with the help of our legislatures and the help of our county commissioners and the communication we have with all the other towns around us is how we accomplish as many things as we do. We have a good infrastructure as far as sewer system. You're one of the small towns in North Carolina with its own water plant, and you have good water. You've got sewer, you've got a great fire department, you've got a great police department, and a great public utilities department. So we have a lot to be thankful for. And all of this was accomplished by dedication, knowledge, and experience, which I have. So continue. I hope to get your vote come November the 7th. Thank you.
So before I started teaching concealed carry classes, I was a victim's advocate. And when I say I'll be an advocate for all Surf City residents, I really mean that. Something that was not brought up today was paid beach parking, and I'm pretty passionate about that. I made some cold calls, and I talked to people who lived in mobile homes. It was 2 separate mobile homes, and they said that even though they own their own home, even though they don't own the land, they still had to pay for beach parking. And the 2 people said, even though they lived in 2 separate areas, they said the exact same thing to me. They said, we feel like we're being treated like second-class citizen. And that did not sit well with me. So if I'm up here, the first thing I'm going to do is try to get free beach parking for all Surf City residents, because I think it's sad that we have a God-given beach and we have to pay the local government to enjoy the beach. They've already raised the prices and they've already extended the time that we have to pay. So that's something I'm passionate about. You also mentioned going to school districts. I will say I was a huge advocate for kids a few years ago. It was July of 2021. School board said we're going to vote one time with the masks, and they voted no masks, only to reverse their decision about 35 hours before the first day of school was the Saturday night. And they said, just kidding, we're going to mask all the kids. That did not sit well with me. I was at every meeting. I joke I made local news before I was barely a local, because I was very persistent. And if the kids want, no parent was opposed to mask choice, but it just felt really, really good to get all the masks off the kids' faces and see their beautiful faces again. But like I said, I'll be an advocate for all Surf City residents. So if you have any issues, feel free to come to me, and I will gladly help you as much as I can with any issues.
Okay. Why I want your vote and why I deserve your vote. I've been here 11 years. The last 2, I look at it this way. I've been here 11 years. So 9 of those years I was in the minor leagues. The last 2, I got to be in the big leagues. That's where I am now. I've learned a lot in the previous years. I've learned a real lot now. I consider myself well absorbed with what's going on. I spend a lot of my time here with the support of my family, who I hardly ever see, because I'm always at a meeting, always at town. Like I said, I'm not a public speaker. I can just tell you that I will represent you to the best of my ability with everything I have. I love it here. I live here too. This town is a great place. It's a great place to live. I wish I would have found it 25 years ago, but I didn't. Anyway, that's why I'm asking for your vote. I hope that you check my box to keep John Koloski for Surf City Town Council. Thank you very much.
Like I said, I've been here 20 years. In that 20 years, I've made it a point to get out and get to know the community as a whole, It was never my intention to get into politics. I just did that because that's the person I am. I like getting to know my neighbor. I like getting to make friends. I like making connections within the community. One of my favorite things to do is when somebody says, hey, do you know somebody that does this? And I can say, yes, I do, and I connect them. This job gives me the opportunity to connect you as people to your local government, and that is my goal in this. My son is 10, and I want him one day to come back and say, I want Surf City to be my home. I want it to have that charm that we all fell in love with, and I want him to want to live here one day. And I think that should be our goal as a whole. We want Surf City to be a place that people want to come live. Not just visit, we want them to visit too, but we want people to live in Surf City and be involved in Surf City. And that's something I've done for a long time, and I'll continue to do it regardless of what happens in November. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I think we should give them a round of applause for being willing to be under the spotlight that way. But thank you all for coming, and turn out for the election. Don't forget, county stuff's coming up in March. We'll probably have a forum for the school board and the county commissioners coming in mid-February or so. So keep that in mind. Thank you. Thank you so much.